Welcome to the Second Line Show. I'm Nola Nash. Let's let the good times roll. Welcome once again to the Second Line Show. I am your host, Nola Nash, and we are talking cozy mysteries tonight. It is going to be so much fun. We have some great ladies here to chat with you, and I'm going to let you meet them here in just a moment. But just a reminder for those of you who are watching us live, or if you're watching us after the fact, please go ahead and get those comments down in the comment sections of wherever you happen to be watching us tonight, whether it is on my page or Nola's Second Line, The Right Review, or over on YouTube on Nola Nash Entertainment. So get those comments in. If you have not given StreamYard permission to use your name, make sure that you go ahead and put your name in your comment. We do like to know who's joining us. We usually have some familiar faces, and we like to say hello to you. So we are going to meet our authors tonight, our cozy mystery writers, some fabulous people. I'm going to start over here. We always go kind of around the Brady Bunch circle here. So I'm always starting with this person who happens to be my good friend, Nicole Asselin. So Nicole, I'm going to let you tell the folks a little bit about yourself, what you write, and any random weird fact that you feel they should know. And I know there's got to be one of those.
Rude, but no, that's okay.
I can say it. Just me, though.
Just you. As Nola said, I'm a fellow Panda Moon published author with her. And my first book, I'm trying to do this. Nope, wrong way. Murder at First Pitch by me, Nicole Asselin, is a cozy mystery set in the world of independent league baseball. It's a team that I completely made up, but I put it in my current hometown of Abington, Massachusetts. And as most cozies are, it follows an amateur sleuth who is loosely based on me. And she stumbles across a dead body and shenanigans ensue. And as you can tell by all of my accoutrement here, is I'm a big sports fan, a big Red Sox fan, obviously, with Wally. And then, where's Wally? Oh, I have the Celtics on mute over here. So I've got all the sports working for me right now. So, and I love mysteries. I love reading. I love everything. So I love you all.
Should they like me? They really like me. All right, Raquel, we are coming to you, girl.
Hi, from Miami, where we do not have any snow. Sorry to rub that in, but we have humidity. So there you go. Yeah, right. I have my debut coming out from Crooked Lane Books in October 12th. It's called Mango, Mambo, and Murder. It's a culinary mystery, cozy. It's a food anthropologist. She's Cuban American. And of course, there's, some dead bodies, and she's got to figure out what's what. I've got a couple of short stories coming out, too. I've got a short story coming out in the Almond Brothers anthology. That'll be out soon. And another one in Crime Writers of Color anthology. And earlier late last year, I had a short story out in the Malice Domestic anthology.
Awesome.
So there you go.
I love that. And, I write a bit more gothic mystery kind of horror stuff. And so you have, a culinary and dead bodies together. For me, this becomes a whole other thing. My brain just went different direction.
Okay, yeah,
no.
Like,
that's not
it took me a second, and I'm like, no, that's not
totally my thing.
No.
Well, we'll get to my stuff later. We're not eating people. Oh, goodness.
No. A little supernatural, it works, but no.
That would not be a cozy.
No, not one bit. But I got to tell you, I had a dear friend of mine that I worked with for several years who was Cuban, and I loved it when Nancy would bring food in. Her food, oh my God. She brought me Cuban toast one day, and I thought, what is this magic?
It's even more magic when you have it with a café con leche. So yeah,
yes.
which is
God. she would make picadillo, and I was like, oh, Nancy, why are you making me picadillo?
There's a recipe for picadillo in my cozy.
Oh,
Is there? Because I don't
perfect.
know how Nancy did it. I'm gonna have to get the book for
You will
one,
have to get
the
the
mystery,
recipe.
and two, so I can make picadillo.
Absolutely.
Because I love that stuff. It was
Good.
so
It is
good.
good stuff. It is good stuff.
Oh, so good. But just the toast. I mean, she brought me toast one day, and I was like, how is your toast so much better than my toast? I loved it.
Because it's Cuban toast. Yeah.
I know. That's what she said. She just looked at me and she goes, it's Cuban. It's like, there was no other explanation for how she did it. It's Cuban. She brought it to me all wrapped up in aluminum foil. I'm like, what is this? She feed it. All right, Olivia, I'm coming down to you, girl.
Hi, I'm Olivia Blacke. My debut is Killer Content. It's also a cozy. I knew I couldn't point behind me and get it correct, so I just picked up the book this time. So Killer Content is set in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and it is it's a cozy, and it is set in a cafe/bookstore. So I'm trying to cover all my bases here, and everything is very high tech. In fact, the murder is witnessed in the background of a YouTube video, and a lot of the communication and a lot of the investigation takes place online. So things like Instagram posts will always figure into it, and each of the chapters starts with a tweet. So, well, I think there's one or two that might start with a Facebook post.
Right.
So it's a lot of fun, but cozies are supposed to be fun. And as far as sports ball, I've got my cap stuff up here. So
We're all over the place with the sports stuff. I love it.
Why not?
Love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Jennifer, we're coming around the circle. Redact that goose. It's your turn.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm from Los Angeles, and that's where my Cozy Mystery series is set. I'm the Lefty Award nominated author of the Sassy Cat Mysteries behind me. The first one is called Mimi Lee Gets a Clue. The second one is Mimi Lee Reads Between the Lines. And the third one is coming out in September, Mimi Lee Cracks the Code. And they all have pet groomer Mimi Lee, who owns a pet grooming salon called Hollywoof. And she solves cases.
Already into it.
Yes, just from the name. She solves cases with her telepathic, sassy cat, Marshmallow. Oh. And so they just solve the cases together.
Who's on the cover? Show them the cover.
Oh, now I have to grab it now.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, we must do this.
There's like two covers, so I'm trying to grab both of them now. So this is the first one. Mimi Lee Gets a Clue. Here is Mimi. She's walking dog, and Marshmallow is huge up front, as he should be. And then the second cover, Mimi Lee Reads Between the Lines. Mimi's in the back on the bench, and this is Marshmallow. And then there's a new feline friend named Nimbus, the little kitten over here.
Oh, I love that. What a great name.
My God.
I love the names. Very clever and definitely a lot of fun.
As a crazy cat lady, I approve this message. I got my cat necklace on. I approve everything.
I was about to say, I tell you, somebody's gonna be running for that series, and that is Nicole.
Anytime you say sassy cat, I'm all in.
She's both of those things, cat lady and sassy, so she's down with that.
I'm multifaceted.
Absolutely. Kelley, so glad to have you on.
Finally, right?
I know. We've been talking about this forever.
So hi, thank you so much, Nola, for having me on here. My name is Kelley. Okay, so many names. Kelley Kaye is what I write cozies on. Kelley Kaye Bowles is what my maiden name is. Right. Young adult under, and Kelley Kaye Gussick, that's my actual married name. So just Kelley is what my business card says, and that's what I prefer is just Kelley. So for a particular fantastic event, I'm a cozy writer. I have a series of cozy mysteries. Here, I'll show them to you. Under Kelley Kaye, and they are, it's called Chalkboard Outlines, is the series. And the sleuths, the girl named Emma Lovett. She's kind of she's a kind of transfer. It takes place in Colorado, and she moved there from Holly Hill, South Carolina, to escape a philanderer, and started teaching in Colorado. And so Emma Lovett is the main character. Her friend is another English teacher named Leslie Parker, and they are the ones where the shenanigans ensue and that solve all the mysteries. Now, I love the cat, everything, I love that everyone has a thing, right? They have a shtick or whatever about their mystery. I think that's awesome. So for me, it's Shakespeare, because the main are English teachers, and so each one of the chapters, like when a day changes in the book, that chapter starts with a Shakespeare quote. So
cool.
section has a Shakespeare quote that relates to whatever's happening, or appears to relate at least to whatever's happening in the book. So the first book was called Death by Diploma, and that one was actually an Amazon bestseller when it came out in 2016, which was super exciting. And then the second one, which came out in 2018, is Poison by Punctuation. And they're all alliterative titles. And I actually, when I first wrote the books, they were like the titles were based on a Shakespeare, some sort of a Shakespeare quote, right? Like an angel, they were taken out of a Shakespeare quote. And then my publisher, who is Red Adept Publishing, if you guys have ever heard of that company,
they're great.
They're like, that's not a cozy. That sounds like it. All my titles sound like I don't know, weird. It's like cozy title has to have to do with the sleuth and something to do with the murder, and that's the title. So that's when I went all alliterative. So Death by Diploma is the first one. Poison by Punctuation is the second. The third is called Strangled by Simile. And it's fun. The alliteration is fun. And as a former English teacher myself, I taught high school English for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
I live in San Diego now. So Los Angeles, you and I, we have better than everyone else. Sorry. And so that's where I taught school. But I also taught in Lake Tahoe, California for a couple of years. That was my first job. So these mysteries take place in a town called Pinewood, Colorado. That's a totally fictional representation that is a cross between my old high school in Colorado, where I taught for 16 years, and my old high school in Lake Tahoe, where I taught for a couple of years. And so that way, all the streets and everything, I just get to make all that stuff up, which is just so much fun. And yes, I love it. It's really fun.
As an English teacher myself, I'm fond of this particular twist on the Shakespeare and the alliteration and all of those things. I teach 8th grade English, and that in itself is an adventure.
But that's good. Lots of characters.
Yes, absolutely. But I like all the Shakespeare quotes and all of that. That is definitely a fun thing. So I knew when you first sent me those, I was like, oh, I love this. I'm just totally digging the Chalkboard series. So you guys have got, of course, the cozies in common. And so we've had some thriller mystery writers. We've had lots of different writers of mysteries on. And of course, I write more the Gothic horror mystery series. So what, for those people who perhaps are not really into cozies, haven't discovered them as yet, I mean, I know they're a lot of fun, and I love that you can kind of just, I kind of think about, there's the difference between Sherlock Holmes and, what's the not Agatha,
Miss Marple.
No, well, I was thinking
Agatha Raisin.
Angela Lansbury on
Jessica Fletcher, yeah.
Jessica Fletcher. Like, blanked entirely on her name. And it's I haven't even gone through half a glass of wine, y'all. This is just me. So I watched every episode of Murder, She Wrote. I know who this is, but can't pull the name out when I need it. So I kind of think, there's serious, gonna solve the murder. We got to do all of this. And then there's more the Murder, She Wrote kind of, the cozy mysteries where it's more about the characters and the people around the mystery. And, how do you how do you guys kind of get people who are used to the thriller mysteries kind of interested in what you do as cozy mystery writers? Or do you even try to convert them? Do you just say, no, our people will find us?
The cozy people are a very large group. So sometimes it's okay to be like Raquel was saying with Malice Domestic, that's the big cozy conference in Maryland every year. And it's such, that's awesome. It's such a good conference. But then I also find at a lot of these conferences, you do meet a lot of the thriller writers, and sometimes they like that a little bit of escapism where they can, I know Hank Philippi Ryan's one who likes.
Hank is great. Yeah.
First of all, she's the nicest lady.
She really is.
She tends to remember me every time, and I don't think she does, but I'm okay with that.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Hank did remember you, because she's just like that.
But I think, like you said, with the whole, I think the reason people like cozies is because it's relatable. Like some of the thrillers, I probably will never feel like relatable to that. But if you throw in a 30-something-year-old woman who's just going to work and her brother's accused of murder, you're like, what would I do?
That happens every day. Sure.
Every day.
Oh, yeah, every day.
Totally.
Why not?
Totally. So I think it's the relatability. I think even if you're a thriller fan, sometimes going to that side where you're like, oh, this is a normal dude or dudette who's just, that's for my California people.
And also because most of them are series that if you fall in love with the characters in the setting, you like, you're there for the puzzle, because I think that's what keeps you turning the pages, right? Mm-hmm. But you fall in love with the character and the settings, and that's the reason why you buy book number 2, 4, 8, 10. Some of these go up to 20. I mean, that's a great run for a cozy series. But you get to like, it doesn't have to end. That great comfort that you feel when you're reading a book, and sometimes you get to like you don't want it to end because you like the people, right? Yes. So with cozy mysteries, you get that a little bit like romance. A lot of time, the characters in romance, go to the other books, and so I think there's a little crossover sometimes with romance and cozy, a little bit. Yeah.
Do you find that you have a lot of fun with your side characters?
Oh yes.
That you can kind of just almost make really quirky people and pull them into. I mean, I always think about people I see out in public, and I'm going, I want to put them in a book, but that's not the kind of book I write. Like, I love them. Like, they need to be somewhere. And it seems like a cozy mystery would be a great place for those characters that you just stumble across. The odd little lady at the coffee shop, or the weird younger couple at the mall. I mean, there's all these people that are so real that it could be a lot of fun to have these other surrounding characters other than just main sleuth. Kelley, what were you going to say?
I was going to agree with you. I was going to tell you a specific thing for my third book that I just am putting out right now. One of the characters in the book is based on an actual character from my town growing up. His name was, I don't know what his name was, because I made all the guy, right? But when I was growing up, there was a guy in my town who rode all around town wearing just a patriotic flag Speedo. So it's a Speedo Man. We called him Speedo Man. And so I have a whole event invented about Speedo Man, and he is one of the characters in book 3. So yes, it was amazing. It's amazing. And I actually have, because coaches in high school, when you teach high school English, the coach, that was a whole thing. And some of the coaches that I was friends with in my school are kind of like, man, you were a little hard on the coaches, because they're not real people, all those coaches. They're kind of an amalgamation of characteristics of all those people. And so, yeah, I'm like, sorry, that's fiction.
This is what we do. There's that disclaimer at the beginning of all books. All people are fictional, and if it looks like you, sorry.
It's all out of my head. Just relax. Yeah.
I mean, we've got some characters around here, like your Speedo guy. I was driving down the road in Nashville one day, and I literally saw the Rhinestone Cowboy. He was wearing just basically a Speedo and rhinestone-studded chaps. Ooh. And a rhinestone-studded cowboy hat. I don't know why he was standing on the corner of the street at the BP station, but he was. He waving at everybody. I'm going,
He's just
it's
a friendly
literally
guy.
the rhinestone
It's just
cowboy.
twiddling.
Like,
He
Oh my
ordered them on Amazon and was like, where am I going to wear these? I have to stand on the
To
corner.
the BP station.
Like, where else is he going to wear it?
I mean, it's Nashville, so it kind of reminded me of the naked cowboy in Times
Yeah.
Square, only he one-upped the guy by putting rhinestones and chaps on. You know, it was like, that was the funniest thing. And then we've got my mom's neighbor, so nobody knows where my mom lives. This neighbor would not be watching this anyway. We have for years called this man, the man who lives across the street, he's the man who eats children because he's so mean.
Okay.
He was
Why are we bringing it back to eating people, Nola?
I know.
Right?
I'm sensing a theme
It's a
here.
thing. It's a thing. But he's so mean to the kids.
Yeah.
Like their little balls or something would go into the yard and they'd want to go get it. And my littlest went to go get something that had like rolled across the street and went like behind his air conditioning unit. And he comes outside and rips into her. I'm like, dude, do not talk to my child that way.
Like the movie The Sandlot. Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like that. Only he doesn't turn out to be nice.
no.
And so we call him the man who eats children because we're like, there's no way that man has ever been nice to a child in his
Well,
life.
that man would not be in a cozy because that
Would
would
not
be a little too serious. Maybe.
And
Well,
if
he could
no
be a
one
victim.
ever writes a cozy, we all need to be aware. It needs to have like a little sticker on it.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, we kill him in the first chapter.
That's
then
what
you
I'm
don't have to
saying.
worry about it. Yeah.
That's true. He could be the
Tell
victim.
off the man who eats children, and then all of the clues go around that because
We're all taking notes. You know this, right?
yeah, go for the rhinestone cowboy.
All the next books in our series are going to start with a guy who is cranky old man in town who gets murdered. We're like, wait a minute, this seems familiar.
We left him very nicely a note because he has this car. He has an antique car that he keeps in his garage and his wife's car. And so he parks this white truck because he lives on the corner, kind of at the end of my mom's driveway. And like all of the kids were coming over and they wanted to play hockey like in the street. And we asked him if he would move his car a little bit so we could put the hockey net there so that the kids wouldn't actually damage the car. He moved the car up 6 inches so that it was actually more in front of the driveway than less in front of the driveway. And then we watched and we're like, oh, he's moving the car.
No.
He did what now?
Yeah,
And he
he's
took that
definitely a
note at
victim.
him. He
He's a
balled
miserable
it up
person.
and he just chucked it. And we're like, oh, no. So you know what we did? We just moved the hockey net over. We put it right in front of his car. We're like, we told you to move the car. Oops, sorry. So the kids just played there, but that was the man who eats children. Now, as a kid, now, I don't know if you guys did this or not, but as a kid, I used to go around my neighborhood with a notebook and a pencil because I was quite sure that there were clues to be found.
Okay,
I didn't know what
Harriet
the mystery was. I was just going to find the clues, and the mystery would have to come later. I'm sure if I found enough clues, I would discover there was a mystery. This is how I went about things. And again, I mean, I write horror mysteries, but I do love a good mystery. And I knew I was Jessica Fletcher, right? Yeah. So did you guys do that too? Or was this just me being a weird kid?
Oh, I was totally Nancy Drew growing up.
I read all of them.
I was looking for dead bodies.
Yes.
I kept trying to knock on walls and stuff. Sorry,
there's like a hidden
wall or hidden like something on a drawer. I was trying to like look for that spring to open it.
I love that. I told my parents I wanted a blue car, just like Nancy Drew.
Oh,
I never got my blue car like Nancy Drew, but one day I will.
Speaking of Nancy Drew, Nola, you would really like the new Nancy Drew because it's like spooky gothic horror, but mystery. So anyway, and the blue car is fabulous. But yeah, I think we all either you fell in love with Nancy Drew or like even earlier Encyclopedia Brown, Harriet the Spy, and I always wanted her notebook that locked, and so nobody could tell what I was investigating, which I was never investigating anything. I was just like, there is a hole in the yard. The mystery is there's a gopher. Like, oh. But I think, I feel like that's a common thread with a lot of mystery writers, and especially cozies, where they love Jessica Fletcher, they love the Agatha Christie's, they love Nancy, they love the Hardy Boys, all that kind of stuff. So I do think you learn it from a young age what you want to do, and hope you can do it.
I guess my love of Jessica Fletcher collided with the weird horror stories and hauntings of South Louisiana, and somehow I got corrupted when I really probably should have been a cozy writer.
Maybe.
Maybe that was my true calling, but now I'd have a hard time taking the gothic out, I think.
You're like, but who's going to eat the dead body? No.
Why can't we just light it on fire?
Oh my
Can
Lord.
we just torch it in the street? Like, why can't we do these horrible things? Chop it up and put it under the floorboards,
Oh,
like
Lord.
telltale art. I would be a terrible cozy writer. I'd end up all all over the place. It's
Or
just,
a unique one at the very least.
I mean, cozy-ish.
And I think cozies, I think you can make that. I think cozies embrace a little bit of everything, like a telepathic cat, and nobody says, well, that's not true.
There's plenty of paranormal.
Yeah,
cozies. That's like a whole
definitely.
subgenre of the subgenre.
and I know like other people have asked for like fantasy cozies. So you have a cozy mystery, but it's in a high fantasy world. So I think cozy lends
that'd be
to creativity, because I mean that's what I did with mine. Is I didn't know any sports cozies, and I watched the Celtics, I watched the Bruins, I watched baseball religiously. Where's the books for me? And as much as I love reading about the knitters and the glass blowers and the beer people and the restaurants and the food, I was like, I want something that I can like. And I think cozy lends itself to creativity that way. Like, you're an English teacher, you want to write about English teaching? Cool.
Yeah.
You're very technologically savvy. Let's write that. Like, I think that's why cozy is one of the best genres.
That's not a secret. You don't have to whisper.
It's a secret.
Elgin says that he loves the name of the salon, of course.
Aw.
I do love the Hollywood.
We're bringing up the telepathic cat again. And Sharon says that she saw the naked cowboy in Florida last time.
That's smart. He was like, I'm going to the grandmother.
And he was like, screw this Times Square crap. I'm going down south. I did not know the naked cowboy was a snowbird. But I guess
I didn't know he traveled.
It's just
Cold in New
Florida.
York in the winter.
That's true.
So.
It's Florida. Just Florida. Yeah.
Florida man.
Florida man. And there's always Florida man. And now it's the naked cowboy. Maybe we'll send the man who eats children down there to join in.
Maybe he's related
No.
to Rhinestone Cowboy. Maybe they're friends.
Rhinestone cowboy and naked cowboy go to Florida. Like, this is a whole new series.
Now that is a whole series unto itself,
Yeah,
right
that would be
there.
interesting.
Yeah.
Naked cowboy and rhinestone cowboy.
Cowboy
Imagine if
brothers.
they were like a detective agency.
Oh my God.
That would I would
How do you
I
go
would so read that.
undercover like
I would
that?
read it too.
I would read it. Definitely. Definitely.
Cowboy detective agency. Who do you
love
need? Rhinestone or
But where would they hold their notebooks? Is my thought.
Oh,
We don't want to talk about where they
No,
keep their pets.
that's a different show. That's a late night show.
We got romance
It is.
coming on another show. We'll talk about that. And we may have stepped outside of cozies at that point.
Yeah, you're pushing the envelope now.
Yeah, that may not be a genre of a subgenre of a social. I love that. So as far as locales, I mean, and we talked about, different characters that we find in our communities. And I know, Kelley, you kind of created your own city, your own town in Colorado to mimic something that you're kind of combining things. How do you guys decide where you want to set your cozies? Does it come more from the mystery itself and what's going to work in that situation, that location? Or is it more, this is what I know, this is what I'm comfortable with, and I think that this, my backyard would make a great location? I mean, there's no wrong answers here. It's more just what worked for you.
I kind of just wanted to have fun with it. Most of the cozies are set in these quaint, beautiful little towns, and they're set in Maine or they're set in Tahoe. And I wanted to set a cozy in New York City, but that's just too broad. So narrowed it down to Williamsburg, which is just this weird little neighborhood to start with, and why not have some fun with it?
I like that weird little neighborhood in New York. I mean, so many to choose from.
Oh yeah.
You don't talk about characters that you can just walk down the street and find. It's a great city for that too. I love the New York neighborhood as a setting for cozy. I love it. Who else? Who else had something that kind of drove their setting?
I'm the same with Olivia. Los Angeles is huge, so I mean, I had to narrow it down, and mine sort of fit. I don't really say, so it's a little bit fictitious, like where she works. Yeah. Some beach, near the beach somewhere. So I kind of throw in different elements, but she does kind of travel a little. So she gets to see different neighborhoods in LA. So that's kind of fun, just to have a little bit of like inside things that happen or places. People often ask me, well, is that actually a real restaurant? And, you know, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, but it's just fun to play around with stuff.
Yeah. I love that we're all three city cozies. I didn't know that, even though, you know, we've been talking and so forth. Yeah. So mine's set in Miami. Again, Miami's this huge, like we're the largest county in like all of the U.S. I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's stupid big. And so there's all these little neighborhoods and little cities and, you know, municipalities between there and, you know, all this stuff. So I just made one of those up. That happens to be very similar to one or two that already exist, maybe. If you're from here, you might catch some clues. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, so I could have it in Miami and all the things that I love, because I love Miami.
Again, a place full of characters too. What great settings and people, and it's just such a colorful place that it's got to be fun to play with Miami and the different elements that you want to pull in. I love that.
I was going to create a fictional town, but then that seemed really hard to like wrap my head around. So I ended up just using my own town of Abington, which is 15 miles south, but an hour away from Boston, depending on traffic. So you still have that city. I mean, they go into Boston, they go to Fenway, they go to the Garden, whatever. But I could also ground it in where I live. And I have found, when the first one came out, I did a library talk, and, you know, I have to do the caveat. This is fictional. It is our town, and there's stuff that's like our town, but we don't have a baseball team, so don't go look for the field. Like, you know, I added a character for the second book that's coming out this year, where I added a garden shop that doesn't exist, but I wanted to put the character is actually a real person who when I first released the book, I did a contest where you could name a character, and they named it after a longtime Abington resident. And I just thought that was, it's like Jennifer was saying, the Easter eggs for like locals. So they'll go, oh, Martin's is mentioned. I go to breakfast there all the time. Or, oh, the Dunk's on the corner of 123. Like I go there all the time. So it's kind of that little mixture of fictional, but based in a real place. And one of the funnest, because I'm a writer, guys.
Because you're right. Exactly.
One of the most fun things is
English teachers on this side of the screen just went
English major. Thanks. Yeah, good job, Curry College. Shout out. I have an artist friend who actually did some artwork for book 2, who's actually going to create the Abington of my book, so that it kind of will show the fictional parts intermingled with the real parts. And again, one of the we have a park in town, and throwing that in the book kind of was like a little Easter egg to myself, because I love that park. So I was like, I want to have a kidnapping there.
I love that part. You can have somebody kidnap there.
Don't see what you can. That'd be great. I love that part. So yeah, I think
you ruined it for everyone.
I think in Cozy's setting is really important. Even if it's real or if it's fake, I think you still want that sense of community. So like the 3 city people said, it's, you know, it's the big city, but it's a small little part of the big city, because you want to feel cozy, for lack of a better word. You want to feel like you're part of the family, part of the community. So that's why
I think it's a lot of fun for the readers too, though. I mean, you know, my son got my mom one of J.T. Ellison's books, and her books, I mean, J.T. Ellison, she lives in Nashville, here where I am. And this particular one was set in Franklin, a little town, you know, where we are. And my mom absolutely loved it, because she's reading it and going, we have coffee there all the time at the coffee shop. I know exactly where this law office is supposedly, you know, I know what that building is. And it's fun for people to have those experiences as they're reading with familiar places, even if they are simply more of an Easter egg type thing, where only the locals would know that, you know. most of the people that are outside of the Franklin area aren't going to know that the coffee house on 2nd and Bridge actually exists. But those of us who do know, it's a fun thing for us to see that and to see that in the book. And so I love that even the ones that have created something that is fictitious, a fictitious representation of a city, you're still pulling at elements that some people will recognize. And that's going to be a lot of fun for the readers to find them.
Durango Bagels. That's one of the places that the girls hang out in my book. And there is an actual Durango Bagels in Grand Junction, which is part of the town that's where maybe that's part. So that's definitely. But then there's a restaurant where there's a date that takes place, and it's called Rafelli's, and that's not a real place, but Nefelli's is a real place, Tahoe. So, oh my gosh. So some people might get that. Some parts, we'll see. Anyway.
I think it's just so much fun for the readers. I mean, and as authors, it's fun for us too. You find yourself going, "Oh, I'm going to put this in." There's that little moment of, "Oh, I'm going to put that in there for those people," and so it makes you feel good too. So that's just fun.
The only thing that concerns me sometimes, circling back to Murder, She Wrote, is the Cabot Cove effect, where there's a murder every week, and you're like, "Why won't you move?" So for the third book, which I'm drafting now, I am taking her out of Abington for a little while, because I think you can do a lot in the one town, but maybe move it like 10 miles away, just so that, my original idea was killing somebody at Fenway Park, but I figured the Red Sox wouldn't love that. So I was like that. Let's just make up some dog parks across the Eastern Seaboard. It's fine. And then whenever we can travel again, you can use that as an excuse to be like, I have to go on a research trip.
Don't they do spring training or something like that?
It started today.
Okay.
That might be on my list.
Nicole would know all of this.
I know. I was like, today, everybody. It's very exciting. But yeah, I think because I love Murder, She Wrote, like Nola, like everybody else. And I've watched probably all 20 plus seasons or whatever at some point in my life. And a lot of it happens in Cabot Cove, but she travels a lot. So I like that little element of, yes, you have your hometown, but you're putting your character in a new situation, which I think keeps it, like Raquel said earlier, it's a series to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
My question was always, why do people keep inviting Jessica Fletcher to things?
You'd
Why
think
do they
learn.
do that?
Yep.
Right? No matter where that woman goes, death follows. Don't invite Jessica Fletcher to your conference. Don't invite her to your wedding. Don't invite her to your kid's birthday party, because someone will die.
Yes.
So yes, they didn't learn after season 1. It's like they're just never going to learn. And I love that the Cabot Cove effect, like you call it. I love that phrase. There's a British mystery. It's kind of like a cozy mystery.
Midsummer.
If any of you have ever, Midsummer Murders is very good. Have any of you ever watched Agatha Raisin?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love Agatha Raisin.
Yep.
And I love that there are even, every now and then there's a line like, why do people invite you to things? Or, who's going to move to the Cotswolds? Because of course everybody dies in the Cotswolds. So I love that there's even that poking fun at that Cabot Cove effect of, you don't want Agatha anywhere. You don't want Jessica anywhere because someone's going to die. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a lot of fun to play with.
Kate Carlisle is one of my favorite cozy authors. She writes the Bibliophile mysteries and the Fixer-Upper mysteries. And I'm reading her second, not the newest one, but the one right before it, The Grim Reader. And they mentioned that as well, that, every time you come to visit. Oh, no, it's not. I'm sorry. That one does get mentioned, but I'm reading the Mitford trial by Jessica Fellows, who somebody said the lady of the house didn't want Lucy to come with them, or Louisa to come with them, because somebody's always dying around you. And she's like, not really. And dead body happens. So she's like, yeah. And so it's one of those things. I think when you can give a wink and a nod to the reader to be like, we know it's a little.
We get it.
Yeah, like we all know there's not this many murders around a pet grooming salon. Like we know, but it's fun. They're fun murders. They're fun.
Fun murders. I think that is one of the great things about cozies, is that they don't take themselves too seriously. And so you can truly lose yourself in the mystery. It's not a high stress, heart pounding kind of thing. It's a fun adventure with quirky people in great places where, yeah, sure, this is unlikely to happen over and over and over again in this one town. And who lets a PR rep who looks more like a junior leaguer solve all the mysteries in the Cotswolds?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, why does the amateur sleuth know more than the cops? It's one of those things that it's that suspending of the disbelief, but in such a fun way, because deep down somewhere, all of us who are reading those books wanted to be that person.
Right.
We wanted to be that amateur sleuth. We wanted to do that, like carrying around our notebooks and finding the hole in the backyard with the gopher in it, because that's what we did. So that to me, I think, is what makes Cozy so much fun. They're easy, quick reads that are not, they're kind of like that little mental vacation and brain break where you're still doing something good for yourself. You're still taking that time out. You're doing something enjoyable and fun. And yet at the same time, it's not this massive obligation to get through something heavy and literary. So they are definitely something, if viewers, watchers out there, if you have not checked out Cozy Mysteries, they're a lot of fun. They're a fun way to spend some time and do something good for yourself, and know that you can totally suspend your disbelief and no one's going to judge you. That's sort of the point. Well, we're going to talk about something a little darker. Yes, my mysteries.
Darker than eating children.
Darker than eating children.
Okay, just
Little man.
Can we get?
How much darker can we? Actually, this is kind of a love story. We're going to talk about our New Orleans history and mystery segment here. Last week, if you watched the show, we talked about Josie Arlington, and Josie Arlington was a New Orleans madam who tried really, really hard to earn her way into New Orleans high society. And while she had the money and the house on Esplanade Avenue, she was never welcomed in. Well, this house is just down the street from Josie's. This is also on Esplanade Avenue, right across from the French Quarter. Charles Andrew Johnson was a Connecticut attorney who moved down to New Orleans, and he adored his Renaissance Revival townhouse. And it did sit just outside of the French Quarter. So it was a little bit quieter, but at the same time, he had access to everything that everyone loved about the French Quarter. And he loved it so much that it seems he never quite left. He was a lawyer and lifelong bachelor, and Charles spent his time and money traveling to Europe to choose the perfect accoutrements for his stately home. He would spend countless hours poring over magazines and books and making detailed notes about his design choices. Now, remember, this house was built in 1879. And so, these things were harder to come by. Only the wealthy would have had them. And of course, the wealthy would have been the only ones who had the time to make those choices and the money to fulfill them. And he absolutely did. His fastidious notes about everything from furniture to paint colors became an invaluable part of the restoration of the home by the current, and current is actually, there's a note about this, so disregard the word current, owner Ruth Bodenheimer. And Ruth claimed that when she faced some difficult decisions as she worked to bring the home back to its 1879 splendor, she wanted to get it right. She wanted to be as fastidious as Charles was. She often spoke her quandaries out loud. And as she was thinking aloud, inevitably, she kind of feel herself drawn back to Charles's notes. And there she would find the answer to her question, either in a margin note in his hand or where he had underlined a passage in one of the magazines and books that he was looking at. And so she brought the house back to its beautiful splendor. And as you can see in these pictures, it is absolutely stunning and ornate, just like it was when he was there. But our dear designer did die a bachelor, but that doesn't mean that he hadn't found love. And indeed he had. He was in love with Marie Andrée Lanneau, the wife of his law partner, George Lanneau. But dear Charles respected their marriage and his partnership with George and kept his affections for Marie to himself his entire life. However, his actions near and at his death tell of his feelings for Marie. During the grave illness that did take his life, he asked for Marie to come and care for him in his home, which she did. It's unclear if she brought her husband and child to stay in the home with her, but in his final months, it was clear that Marie had made Charles very happy, and he was deathly ill, but she gave him at least some peace and some comfort in his final days. And whether it was love or gratitude, the bachelor Charles made Marie his heir, and she inherited the home upon his death. Marie Leno and her descendants lived in the house until 1953, and that is why Charles's house is known as the Leno Mansion Bed and Breakfast. So besides guiding her on the restoration, Ruth said that she would see Charles ascending the staircase to the 3rd floor. Perhaps it was his love of the home and the woman who inherited it that kept him tied to it. Now, when I find these stories, it's always interesting to me how these stories kind of lead themselves to me. Josie Arlington, I have several books of New Orleans, lore and legend and history. And usually what happens is I pick up one of those books and I kind of just flip for a little bit and I open a page and I start to read. Well, Josie Arlington, I decided that was the story I wanted to tell. And as I'm kind of reading through it, I realized that Josie died on Valentine's Day. Well, it was the Valentine's show. I was like, oh, thank you, New Orleans, for sending me that. And as I was deciding on this one, it was not until I was actually looking for pictures of the home to put into the slides that I found this. So the Leno Mansion was sold 1 year ago this week because Ruth recently died, and the home itself was sold on February 13th of this time last year, last year. And so it's the 1 year anniversary of the home being sold. It was 5 bedrooms and 7 baths, over 6,000 square feet, and sold for $1.6 million.
Wow.
And so it's always interesting to me, these little tidbits that turn up in these stories that I stumble across. And so the anniversary of the sale of the house that Ruth so lovingly restored and Charles so definitely helped with was this week, so a year ago. So that's pretty awesome. Now, it is also, yesterday was Mardi Gras. There were no parades rolling, but we celebrate in our own ways, right?
What did they call it? Yardy Gras? Everybody.
Yardy Gras. Yeah, we're having Yardy Gras. And the house floats. I really hope that the house floats stay. Okay. A lot of the houses along St. Charles and actually in the quarter and lots of different places have been decorated in lieu of floats. And so instead of the floats coming by, people drive past the houses. Even some of the dance troupes have been out in what we call the neutral ground, which is the big wide medians. And so it's the neutral ground because the Irish and the Italian would live on either side of it, and they would yell at each other across the medians and throw stuff at one another. So they didn't cross the median, which was the neutral ground. Like if you were going to go have a truce with somebody and talk something out, if you had like a business thing you had to do and you didn't really like those people, you met on the neutral ground because you were not on anybody's territory. So that is where the neutral ground phrase comes from. But in the neutral ground, some of the dance troupes, I have a friend of mine, Laura Kaye, who is part of the Pussyfooters dance crew, and they are so much fun. They're very flamboyant and almost that burlesque kind of style to them. And they were out dancing on St. Charles. And so her video of that is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And all of that, of course, culminates in Fat Tuesday, which was yesterday. But today then is Ash Wednesday. And so on Ash Wednesday, the day that so many people in Louisiana are deciding what to give up, my question for you is, this is our lagniappe question, and our lagniappe segment is all about, lagniappe is a Louisiana word for a little something extra. It's a French word. So our little something extra question here today for our readers to kind of get to know you a little bit more on a personal level. What vice would you struggle to give up? For me, it's coffee, and no one wants me to give up coffee. It's not good. It's a terrible thing. You just, stay very far away from me if I had to give that up for all of the 40 days of Lent. But if you had to give up a vice, which one would you struggle giving up? And it can be anything. It can be anything from pizza to
I like my vices.
I know,
right? I don't see a problem with them.
Right.
I think clearly.
My vice that I would probably not be able to give up, that I would struggle with, is buying books, as evidenced by them just moving further and further out. And bread. I love bread. And
I like bread.
I just that's what I'm not giving up. That's what I should give up for health reasons, but sorry, Vice, you're staying. But yeah, those two are kind of my big Achilles heels.
So I've been trying
could
to
you give up the Red Sox easier than books or bread?
Ooh.
Couldn't do that either. That one
I had to check on your.
It was
your
hard enough at
fandom.
the beginning of the quarantine last year when we had no baseball. I was like, so yeah, no, that one not even on the table.
So guys, in the comments, go ahead and post yours as well. What vices would you struggle giving up? There's no judgment here. We don't care what your vice is. We want to know whether or not you could actually do it.
I couldn't give up coffee either. And, you know, Cuban coffee is just so good. Why give it up? It's whatever the opposite of a vice is. I think we just need to you know, it needs a new label. It needs better brand. It needs a different branding. You know, it's an elixir, right? There you go.
It's a productivity elixir.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Sometimes we call it rocket fuel, but yes.
It's productivity elixir, my niceness juice.
So I don't smack you in the face drink. Yeah. I don't drink coffee, but I understand the allure.
There's lots of things for that. My ladies down on the bottom, what do you think? Not that you're on the, you know what I mean. You're pretty much.
So I tried to give up physical books, and I tried to get everything on my ebook reader, and space is such an issue, and we continue to downsize, and every time I'm taking crates of books and like 2 pairs of pants. So I really downsized, as you can tell. And then this year, I have met so many absolutely amazing people, especially #Berkeleys. I know y'all are watching. But like all of you ladies, like I have to have your book now, and I have to have you sign it. And so like my physical book collection has exploded again. And my husband's going to kill me because he sees these boxes come in and he's like, I thought we were done with books. And I'm like, oh, just the physical books.
We're not done with anything related.
So how many pants do you really need when you're in quarantine? So I'm okay with the books being a replacement. It's fine. No,
You
again,
only need 2 pairs, one to wear and one to wash.
Exactly.
That's it. And they need a good stretchy waistband because of all of the other vices that we're not giving up.
Exactly.
Yes.
Sugar. For me, it's sugar.
Sugar. Oh.
100%. I mean, all the time. I would love to give it up for 4 days or 4 hours. And it's not going to happen. It's worse than, you know what they say? It's worse than, the addiction to sugar is worse than heroin addiction. Like, really,
wow.
I
see that.
don't doubt it. Yeah.
that's mine for sure. And I would never in a million years be able to give it up for 40 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Same.
I've tried that. I think I lasted 2 or 3 days once, and it was horrible. It was really bad. Like, no, not doing that.
I couldn't. I mean, books didn't even make the cut because I didn't even think about books. You guys are mentioning it, not even on the list. But for me, it's probably maybe chocolate, and then also my productivity elixir, which would be tea. So those would be hard for me.
Well, what kind of tea do you drink? Because I'm always curious. Because there's herbal tea, and then there's like real tea, right?
Like
British teas, yeah.
Yeah, I like green tea, but I mean, I drink all sorts. I mean, I drink herbal and, whatever. But I have a slight preference to like jasmine green tea.
I need to try that. I do like green tea. It's not the one that I reach for first, but I've decided an author friend, Robert Gwaltney, who has an amazing book coming out soon, you guys, The Cicada Tree. He just posted the trailer for it. I'm going to have to put it on my page too, because it's incredible. Like, I'm going, when is the book coming? Really, really good kind of dark Southern fiction. But he always makes a great event out of things. And so I've decided to have tea time. Like Robert has tea time. I don't have the monogram towels that he has, but he has these beautiful teacups. So I found a quirky tea set. And so now I've started having tea in the afternoons. It makes me walk away from my computer because I teach at home and it's like, oh, we're done for the day now, bye-bye. And so I go fix tea. And I love it. I'm an Earl Grey person, and I know that you are either an Earl Grey person or not an Earl Grey person. Like there are people who are like, that is just the worst tea ever. And I've always loved it, but I love a London fog. Like that is my thing. If you've never had a London fog, it's Earl Grey tea, steamed milk, and vanilla. And it is so good. It's an Earl Grey latte. If you order it at Earl Grey latte with vanilla, if you want to go order it at the Bucks or wherever you are. But I like to make them at home, and I love me an Earl Grey latte with vanilla, which is also known as a London fog. So really good stuff there.
There's a Lady Grey tea, which is just a lighter Earl Grey, and I love the Lady Grey. I could drink that just all day long. That's my go-to.
I have to have my coffee in the morning, but the rest of the day, I really do enjoy my hot English tea. But I'm also like Sarah, Southern sweet tea. Iced sweet tea. Gotta have it. That combines like all the wonderful things about life into one place. There's sugar, there is caffeine, there is hydration, there is, all the best of the world is in there. We've got, Tammy says she could not live without her coffee. Elvin's decided that coffee is virtue. I like that spin on it. Yeah. And Sarah also says nicotine, and that's a tough one too. That is a tough one too. And you got to either want to give it up or not give it up. So, hey, I don't think we need to give up anything because who's really going to make this? It's quarantine. Nobody sees what we do anyway, right?
Who's here to make us happy? Who's here to quarantine? Just be happy. If it makes you happy, do it. Unless it's illegal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh gosh, this time has just flown by, ladies. I'm enjoying the heck out of this. So I'm going to scare you all here in just a minute because Annie always says I need to promote my books more. And so, we're talking mysteries, and even though mine are a bit gruesome, with the whole Ash Wednesday thing, we do have a couple of great scenes that take place in Crescent City Moon in St. Louis Cathedral. Fabulous scene there where our villain tries to drown someone in communal wine. Lots of fun there. Wow. A little bit darker, of course. But, Annie and I were talking about that when we were talking about Ash Wednesday. She's like, that scene where I was like, yes, that one was fun to write. I enjoy that stuff far too much. So the Crescent City series, of course, is out and available for you on Amazon. The first 2 books are. And before we get to wrapping things up, I told you I was going to scare you. And so here is the trailer for Crescent City. There you go.
Sorry,
that's my kind of mystery right there.
I was into the music. That was all spooky. I love it.
It was really fun for me because I love doing the music on the trailers. Like I spend a whole lot of time on the music, and then I realized that most of the time I'm posting them on Facebook and people are scrolling by not turning the sound on. I spend so much time on the music. People are watching in silence. Yep. That's why I like playing it on this show, because then you get to hear the music. I do enjoy that part. I do spend more time than I should picking out music for it. It's got to be right. And speaking of books that are available and out for you, and some that are just samplings of what these fantastic cozy authors have out there, here are those adorable covers. And there are, of course, more out there. make sure that you go check these ladies out and get several of them because they're just fun. And we need more fun right now. It's cold. It's just, you're snowed in.
It's pandemic-y.
Pandemic-y. I mean, I know that we can make it an adjective. It's pandemic-y. Absolutely.
Anything an adjective.
Yes, we can. We can make anything an adjective as writers. I love it. So yes, go check out some of these fantastic cozy mysteries. Lose yourself in them for a little while and just have a good time because that is what a cozy mystery is all about. And ladies, thank you so much for spending an hour of your evening with me. It has truly been a joy having you on. And if we did not get to your question or comment, I'll be checking back in. And if you're watching this on a replay, feel free to post some comments there as well. I will get a notification about them and we'll go and check back in and chat with the folks who are here. And if you missed this show from the very beginning and you want to go back and see what we were laughing and talking about early on, or if you want to see some of the past episodes of the Second Line Show, they live on the Nola Nash Entertainment channel. We've got all of the episodes all the way up from episode number 1 to this one, episode 19, as well as several great specials that we have done. Our Paris special, we've done a Halloween special, and we even have the dating game that Annie McDonald and I did. And if you guys did not get a chance to watch the dating game, Annie and I had a great time putting that together. She did a fantastic job getting everybody lined up for that. And it was just a hoot and a half. So go watch the dating game. The questions were so funny, and our bachelors and bachelorettes were just great sports. So that is also back there on the Nola Nash Entertainment YouTube channel as well. Ladies, thank you once again. Viewers, thank you for your comments and for tuning in. And we look forward to seeing you all again next week.
Thank you.